I've been on the lookout for a small part storage system that would work for me. In the past, I used these containers from Harbor Freight, and they worked okay, but I got to get this out from under the workbench. And then you've got this thing taking up space, and then you get a few bins out, and you got them taking up space. The good thing about this is a lot of these packs of screws from Amazon, the container they come in will fit in there. But I started getting the bigger packs of the screws, and now they no longer fit in there. And I've got M3s here, M3s over there, some more M3s there. So some of these I don't have as many of, M2.5s. So I've been on the lookout for a while. As far as cheap solutions, the Harbor Freight Storehouse or the Home Depot bins, they seem to be the go-to, but it always felt too big for what I needed. I don't like that the handle takes up that much space. But really, for the price, these are currently like $10, and if you get a 30% off so many items under $10 coupon, you can pick them up cheaper. And here's a tip. I don't know if it still works, but it used to be a Harbor Freight that if you got multiples of the same item, it only counted as one item on that coupon. So I went in there and bought like 4 of every size C-clamp, and it only counted each size as an item. So I was able to get like, I don't know, 16, 20 clamps and get the 30% off all of them. So might work that way on this bin if they don't raise the price to over $10 when they have that coupon out. But this was kind of too thick, too big for my purposes. I had this when I threw some router bits and stuff in it, but it don't even work that great for that. And things like these specialty tools, like this crimper doesn't get used with anything other than these connectors. I wanted to have some type of storage that was big enough to put the crimper in there with the terminals. So I had my out for a long time. Never could find what I was looking for a price that I wanted. And then finally settled on these. Walmart has these for $5.24 currently. It's Plano 3700 series, and anything that is 3700 series will be the same exterior dimensions. The insides can vary a little bit, but this model you can tell by the burgundy latches, and it has 328, which is 3 rows going that way. It's actually more than 28 compartments. I guess they give you enough of these to make 28 compartments. But you have this larger bottom section where you could put some tools, and the price is right. So this is what we're running with for all our small part storage. So with those, cable crimpers, things to make, coax tools, got it all in there. Riveter, I use like once a year. Tools for installing eyelets, which this stuff basically has gone in the equivalent of a kitchen junk drawer, only in my toolbox. And it just rolls around in there and stuff falls out and gets mixed up. So it's working out pretty good for this type stuff. The problem is you go put small stuff in here, like terminals, you go to grab one, and these things will lift up, or even just bouncing around. This gets jostled around, and things migrate, which sucks. I guess you could glue them in place, but then you're stuck with where they're at. So 3D printing to the rescue. I found these bins on Thingiverse and Printables, and they're exactly what I need to keep things in their containers. But I didn't like the gaps between them. The way these things are meant to be used, the original designer designed them to use with the Plano dividers in between them. But I felt like that was some wasted space that might add up, and I just didn't want to deal with the dividers. So I designed wider ones. I tried to round the corners a little bit to get them to print faster, and you can't really even tell. They look about the same as the originals. But so these fit in there, especially these cases that have 4 rows. I'll go over them in a bit. So you got your singles, your doubles, which will fit in these ones that have the 4 rows. You have your ones with indentations, which they'll also work on these ones that have the 3 rows with the smaller bins up here. But so that works, and that's kind of what I was going for and what I wanted. But I thought I could do one better, because these, like if you wanted to move this bin to here, you can't because it's not rounded to fit that corner. You've got to have a special bin for each corner. And I also wanted them to print a little faster. So I thought, what if I just took the corner piece and made all the sides rounded like the corner piece? So these work in any position. And if you want to double in the corner, you can put it there. And then also, for this one that's got the 3 sections with the large bottom section, got a big one to go in there. Tall, skinny ones. And these can be, let's see, rearranged. So if you wanted double with 2 of those on top it, you can do that. Or if you want 2 singles over here, so this is good in the fact there's a lot more flexibility, and if you want to reorganize your parts, you can just pick up the bin and move it without having to dump one into a special corner bin or print corner bins. But for bolts and screws, I don't know what it is, but I just still prefer the ones with the squared off size. I feel like I'm getting more. There's not really any more space, but I feel like I'm getting more space. It just feels better with straight screws in there. So this direction I'm going to go is probably a mix of these for the bolts and screws, and then I'll probably use the rounded ones for terminals. So the ones Walmart sells, it's got the 3 sections, and like I said, I paid $5.24 a piece for them. And if you order them off the Walmart website, they have an option for a 4-pack, and what you will receive is the same bin. But Plano also makes one that's meant to be sold as a 4-pack, and it's got the same name, Pearl Latch Stowaway, but you'll see it has 424. So this one has 4 rows, and this one prices were higher and it was a little difficult to find, but I ended up getting it at Sportsman Warehouse for around $34 for the pack of 4, which comes out to $8.50 each, which is getting to be more than I wanted to spend. But for small screws, I wanted the ones that had 4 rows, even though you can just put 2 more rows in the bottoms of these and it works out fine. So this has 4 rows, and each section is a little larger than the other one, which you can still stick 2 of the other bins in here. But then you've also got the option of a bigger bin with no indents. So, and they make other 3700 series. They make shallow ones. They make ones with rust inhibitor, but they're all more than I want to spend. They make one that's one big compartment, but it does still have some ridges in the bottom. The bottom's not completely flat. And you notice these ones that come in a 4-pack, they have the black latches. And then they also make some that have yellow latches, and I don't remember the difference on those. So, but anything that's 3700 series should have the same exterior dimensions. If I can get it in focus. 14 inch by 9.13 inch. I haven't figured out what method I want to use to store the plastic tackle boxes yet. I'll end up making some kind of pull-out drawers or something where I don't have to have them spread out over the top of my work surfaces, which I don't currently have much of exposed at the moment anyway. Printing these, I used a 1mm nozzle. And I tried to make all sides 1mm thick. So the walls are 1mm. The bottom, I'm printing 0.3mm height. So I made the bottom 0.9mm. So it's 3 layers. These are printed in ABS because 10 years from now, if I've got them in the back of a car or something, I don't want them to melt or fall apart or crack. Still figuring out the big nozzle stuff. Having to print them slow, but if you did figure out, if you turn it this way so the fans are blowing toward these sides, it helps with the appearance on the sides. They were overheating before when I was doing them like this, and I could go a little bit faster with them oriented like this because of the fan extra cooling on the sides. I printed a full plate on the Voron V2, which was about 60 of these, and it took just under half a spool of filament. And these are 12 per row, so each one holds 48. So you probably get 2.5 of these organizers worth of bins out of each spool of filament. You want to figure that into the expense. Of course, it'll take a little less if you've got the bigger lower compartments or you're not using those compartments for bins. I've been trying to break my cheap ABS habit, but with so many of these bins that I want to get printed, it's going to add up. So go on Amazon, see what's cheap. This stuff, 3DF, it was 13 something a spool, and it was buy two get one free. So it ended up being $27 for 3 spools, and then on checkout it said, do you want an extra 5% off for subscribe and save? Sure. So final price came out to $8.49 per spool, and I figured I'm running it through a 1mm nozzle. What's going to do, clog my 1mm nozzle. So it's actually been pretty good. Smells not worse than any other ABS I'm used to. It's sealed. It's packaged nice. No issues. And I think the prints came out nice. So, yeah. I will probably buy it again. I do wish it was a lighter gray. I really would have liked Polymaker's light gray for this. But for $8.50 a spool instead of $21 a spool, when you're going to go through a bunch of spools, yeah, I won't change my cheap ways. So this is the system I settled on. If you think it might work for you, links to the STL files are in the description.